Hi guys, welcome to schoolofsocialskills.com. Today I really want to talk to you about the use of closed-ended questions and what effect do they really have on your conversations. In my opinion, it's really important to realize what effect a question can have on your conversation, because closed-ended questions in particular can have a very big impact on how interesting or engaging a conversation will be. And if you are constantly using closed-ended questions, well, then your conversations is not as engaging and interesting as they could be. And I just want to warn you here that closed-ended questions really are not the best type of questions you can use in a conversation. And the reason is that closed-ended questions most of the time are actually leading up to very short answers and also very simple answers, which is not very valuable to a conversation, and they don't really help you to generate conversation. And that's why I think that the use of closed-ended questions in a conversation is actually the most common and most dangerous mistakes that people do in their everyday conversations. Especially if you want to connect with somebody, then closed-ended questions is not really a tool that you should use. Okay, so I think you already know what a closed-ended question is, but I really want to define the closed-ended question so it will be totally clear to you how the closed-ended question works and why it really hurts your conversations. Most of the time, a closed-ended question can be answered with yes or no, or a simple piece of information, or a answer between multiple choices of answers. Okay, that might sound a little bit confusing, but let me give you an example. First of all, I will give you a yes or no kind of open-ended question, and that could be, for instance, do you like chocolate? Let's say I was in a conversation with you and I ask you, do you like chocolate? A lot of people would answer yes, and then the conversation would kind of die there, because you have already answered the question, but you did so just using one word, and that doesn't really generate conversation. And that's really the whole problem with closed-ended questions. In the way that the closed-ended question is structured, they naturally lead to very short answers. So they don't really help you generate a conversation, an interesting conversation, which both partners are really participating in. So, to give you another example, I could also ask you another type of question which you could answer with just a simple piece of information, like how tall are you? I'm 5'3". So now you have answered that question. How tall are you? And you say, I'm 5'3". And that doesn't really generate conversation either. So asking for a simple piece of information like that is also a closed-ended question, and that's why it doesn't really generate conversation. So this could be applied to many situations where you ask another person about simple information or data, like what's your name, how old are you, how often do you come here, what time does this bar close, what kind of car do you drive. All these questions are closed-ended questions which can be answered with a simple piece of information. And that's why they lead to short answers, and that really doesn't help to generate an interesting conversation that you and I can connect upon. The last kind of closed-ended question is the multiple choice kind of closed-ended question. For instance, I could ask you, what kind of color do you like the most, yellow or blue? And then you could answer yellow or blue. And then you will already have answered that question, but like the other kind of closed-ended question, it doesn't really generate an interesting conversation, because I'm asking you about something so specific that you're just going to give me that specific thing, and then you're not really going to add upon it. Of course, most people will expand a little bit. They will say, I like blue. It's my favorite color. I had a blue sweater when I was small, blah blah blah, and start talking about blue. But about 60 or 70% will just answer the question with a very short answer. And that is especially true if you don't know the other person, if you're just meeting them on the street and you're trying to strike up a conversation with them. If you use closed-ended question in that situation, they will give you the shortest answer possible most of the time. Okay, so that kind of sums up the problem with closed-ended questions. The problem is that they don't lead to a very interesting and long answers. They lead to, most of the time, very short and uninteresting answers. And this is why I would advise you to not use too many closed-ended questions in your conversation. Okay, so that's really what I have to say about closed-ended questions. Please watch the next video to learn about the advantages of open-ended questions and how they can really help you generate really interesting conversations. Take care. This was Marcus from schoolofsocialskills.com.